Okay, I heard the sound, so we're good. All right, welcome everyone to week 3 of Greek at Bear Creek. And I know last week when we did the alphabet was a little bit of a slog, a little bit of a data dump. So if you're back after last week, you have my utmost gratitude and respect. Uh, this week we'll be. I'm really excited about this week because we're finally getting into the text. We're getting into what you all came for. We're going to be able to read unadapted biblical Greek. So, archo tomathema. I'm going to start the class. What did we do last week? You began acquainting yourself with these lovely 24 symbols, and we talked about specific combinations. When you combine certain combinations of words, you get a different sound. We also talked about all of the markings that you might see. So this top row, they're accent marks. They're 3 different kind of symbols, but they're all pronounced the same. And they tell us where on the word we place the emphasis. That's really important. That second row, they're called breathing marks. They're not pronounced, but we just want to identify which way they're facing. Are they facing left? Are they facing right? We don't pronounce them, but we do want to know which way they're facing because that'll be a different word. Okay. Also, just to go over the method again. Number 1, learn the alphabet. We did that last week. So now we can get to the fun stuff. We can get to hearing the text, reading it out loud, understanding it bit by bit. And I just want to assure you, if you're feeling like, no, I only spent 1 week on the alphabet, I don't know if I have it fully memorized, I don't know if I know every single letter, everything that we do will be reinforcing your knowledge of the alphabet. So in this class, I will be reviewing the alphabet, but as you read, as you listen, as you pronounce the words that you're seeing, you're going to be reinforcing your knowledge of the alphabet. So I don't want you to feel like you're not getting it. We are going very quickly. We only have a certain amount of weeks, and we don't really have the luxury to complete a step to completion. We kind of have to keep going as quickly as we can. But each next step reinforces the previous step. So please keep coming back. Mm-hmm. If anyone knows anyone who's dropped off because they feel like they can't hack it, please bring them back also. Okay, I also have some bad news. I thought it was an 8-week class. It's actually a 7-week class, which is not going to be too much of a detriment, but it's just unfortunate. You know, we have to end at some point. So we've done the introduction, we did the alphabet. Today, we're going to be getting into John 1:1. And as you can see, we'll be adding one verse every week, along with a little bit of it, grammar, a little bit of vocab. By the end of the class, I cannot promise you you'll have a complete knowledge of biblical Greek. But I'm trying to get you into the language deep enough such that if you choose to pursue the language later on, you'll find it much, much easier. And I sent this class to some of my friends that already know Greek, and they were enjoying it because they felt like, oh, great, now I can actually learn this stuff. It's not all new to me. I kind of have the time. I have some frameworks. I have some understanding. So repetition is really important because every time you read something, every time you learn something, it gets you understand it better. So that's all that I want to do in this class. But I also can promise you that if we get to the end of John 1:1-5, which I think we will, you'll know those verses very well. And you'll learn something about how Greek works. You'll understand what it means. And you'll know some Greek words, some grammar. I know I was talking to Miss Elizabeth. Some people are going on a Greek trip later on. That's going to help. There's all kinds of benefits that I think you'll get out of this class. But again, it's only 7 weeks. It's a shame. Okay, this week, here's our agenda. I'm going to review the alphabet just to go through it a couple more times. Then we're going to begin practicing reading. So if you stayed extra last class, as I know you did, you all experienced a much more difficult version of what we're doing this week. It's going to be a little bit slower. We'll go through it, but we'll read some actual Greek. Then I have a speaking exercise because we haven't done that in a little while. Then I want to address a question that actually came up in the first class that I prepared a little bit of an explanation. And then we'll get into reading John 1:1. So let's see, it's 9:58, so I have 47 minutes. So I'm just keeping track of time. Any questions? Any comments about your own Greek studies during the week? I have put up my name because my YouTube channel is just my name. So if you're ever looking for the classes, you can look at my name. And this is the link. This is a YouTube link of the playlist of the actual lectures. I also have another playlist up there that has resources. So if anyone looked at that playlist, I believe that's on my channel. There is a link to a modern Greek speaker reading the entire book of John. Really interesting. There is a link to a modern Greek person going through the Greek alphabet. So just a short, I think it's a 30-second video. And then there's a link to me reading John 1, 1 through 5 in slow modern Greek pronunciation. So these are all things that if you have time during the week and you'd like to practice a little bit, that third video, I think especially, will just be helpful. I want you guys to be able to hear what Greek sounds like and just to get familiar with this text. But the other two are also there, and I'll be adding more to that resources playlist as we go. Okay, any questions? Okay, then let's get on with the alphabet review. I'm going to say them once, slowly, and then we'll say them together. Maybe we'll do a little bit of singing if anyone missed the song. Okay, follow the laser pointer. Alpha, Vita. Oh, sorry. I'll just say it. We'll do it together, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mi, Ni, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Taf, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega. Okay, and just to remind, these are the lowercase versions of the letters. All of these have capital versions. They all have uppercase versions. Some of them look like the English versions. Some of them look completely different. For the purposes of this class, I just want you to know the lowercase because that will get you most of the way. If you want to learn the capitals later, they just seem to be easier, but these are all the lowercase. Okay, so now let's do it all together, okay? Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mi, Ni, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Taf, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega. Okay, excellent. Now let's try the song. Does anyone remember the song? Okay, I'm gonna. Excellent. Okay, that's great. I handle the front, you handle the back. We'll be great. So let's all sing the song, and we'll do it slowly the first time. Okay. Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mi, Ni, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Taf, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega. Okay, let's do it a little bit faster. A little bit faster. Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mi, Ni, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Taf, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega. Okay, let's do it fast now. Alpha, Vita, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mi, Ni, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Taf, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega. All right, well done. I think we can move on. These are these letter pairs, which are sometimes called diphthongs, right? Two letters, smush them together, they make a new sound. So when you have two gammas together, just think of the word angelos. You get this ng sound, angelos, not agelos, angelos. Oh, excuse me. When you put the alpha and the iota next to each other, it looks like it should be I, but it's an sound. It's the same thing as an epsilon. eh. So we looked at that word fe, no, eh. When you put an epsilon and a iota together, it makes an e sound. So we think of ego imi. If you put omicron iota, it makes the same sound. It makes an e sound. So think of e kinonia. We hear it koinonia because people are pronouncing it this way, but in modern Greek for this class, that's another e sound. Very simple. This is an e sound. This is an e sound. And this is omicron epsilon, and that makes an oo sound, just like soup. So, welcome in, guys. We see o Jesus. That oo sound is what we're looking for. Alpha epsilon makes sometimes an af sound, sometimes an av sound. And it sort of depends on the word. So the word that we looked at last week was aftos. This is the word that looks like it might be autos, but again, in this pronunciation, it becomes an F or a V. So aftos. And the same thing with this one. Epsilon, epsilon becomes ev. So we have to evangelion katayuanin. Okay, again, don't feel like you have to memorize them. You'll be seeing them a lot. We'll always be listening. We'll always be saying them out loud. So you'll get a hang of it. Okay, let's read some actual Greek. Okay, this is our first verse. It's different from the one we did at the end of last class. I didn't want to make it too easy on you guys. So we'll go through it very slowly. I remembered that when we first started learning English, what would we do if we saw an English word that we didn't know? We would break it up into syllables and sound it out, right? So we're going to take some time on this verse, break each word up into syllables and sound it out. I'm going to read it once, so just listen, and then we'll break it up, we'll go through it together. En archi epiisen o theos ton uranon ke tin gin. Okay, I'm going to read it one more time. En archi epiisen o theos ton uranon ke tin gin. Okay, so let's start with the very first one. This is an epsilon and a ni. It's not the English V. This is a Greek ni, right? So epsilon ni becomes N, right? N. Okay, crew, I'm going to pick on you. Let's go through this next word together. The next word is archi. So can you tell me what these letters are? Okay? Alpha, Rho, He, Ita. Good. And it makes the E sound, right? Now, so this is one syllable. How would you pronounce that? How would you pronounce that syllable? R. And then this one? He. Arhi. Okay. So we have N arhi. Great. Who wants to do the next word? Do I have any volunteers? Vivian?
No, that was.
I'm sorry, it's only fair. You know, I've called on him, he called on you. We can do it. We'll take it nice and slow.
I can't do that.
You can only do it. Okay, this is an epsilon.
Okay.
Do you remember what sound it makes? Well, it makes the e. Just like in English, right? If we have the word pet, it makes the e sound. So the epsilon makes the same sound. So that's our first syllable, e. Now the second syllable is one consonant and then one of these letter pairs that we looked at. The same one that was in ki no ni. So do you remember this letter? Yes. And it makes the p sound. Now what is this letter pair? What sound does that make? Yeah, exactly. I'm going to have to separate you two.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't be saying it if it wasn't.
That's fine. That's fine. This is how reading works, right? We just take it one letter at a time, one syllable at a time. Okay, so if this makes a p and this is an e, what does this syllable make? Right. So if you said P, good. Okay, and this is the one with the accent. So we know that when we're pronouncing the full word, this one is going to get more of a weight. This next syllable is just a vowel by itself. Do you remember what sound this makes? It also makes an E. So it's two E sounds right next to each other. But you'll pronounce them. And then we have a sigma, an epsilon, and do you remember what letter this is? It's a ni. Yeah, it's a Greek ni. So what would this syllable make? It's okay, take your time.
Say it a little louder. I can't hear you.
Do you remember what sound this makes? It's a sigma, so it makes a S sound. This is that same vowel from earlier. So what sound does that make? This makes an sound. And this is the Greek ni. So it's sen. Does that make sense?
Say it again.
Okay, so we have a sigma, an epsilon, and a ni.
We take the first.
And sen. Okay, let's do a little bit of review. I'm going to point to it. You try to tell me what sound it makes. Okay? No, I'm talking to you. Eh? Good. What about this one? P. Good job. P. This is the P, and this is the E, right? So E, P. What about this one? No. Close. Yeah, it's a tricky one. This is just E. Okay, so E, P, E, and this one? Do you remember what letter this is?
Not a V.
Don't worry, don't worry. It's tough. It's a ni. Okay, so what sound would this make? It's okay. This will make a sen. So if we put it all together, it's E, P, E, sen. Exactly. E, P, E, sen.
You accent that.
Yes, you want to accent this sound. That's where the mark is, right? E, P, E, sen. Okay, that was a tough one. Well done, seriously.
So what's word mean?
What's that?
What's the word mean?
Oh, we'll get there. We will get there. Or we might not get there. I don't want to make you a false promise. But right now,
Is that the first?
no, you can't ask these questions. You're picking up too many things. Okay, we're just reading. This is the cat in the hat, right? We're just working on reading right now. Don't worry about what it means or where it is. We'll get there. Okay, so let's see, Gwen, maybe you can help me with this. How do you pronounce that? N. What about this one? Arhi. Yeah, I know you have some muscle memory. Yeah, no, I get you. Okay, try. Yes. Okay, can you try it?
F-E-E-Sen.
Good. F-P-E-Sen. Well done. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna quiz you on O, but that's O. What about the next one? Who wants to volunteer to do the next one? Bless you. Yeah. There. Good. What about this second one? This is a omicron, right? So theos. Nice. Okay, it's an easy one, and that word we might remember what it means, but we're not talking about meaning right now. Okay. Okay. The next one. Who thinks they know how to pronounce this? Yes, I'm hearing tone. Okay. What's your name in the back, sir?
Nathan.
Nathan. Okay. Can you do this one with me?
Okay.
Okay. We'll break it up. This is the first syllable. This is one of those vowel pairs. Do you remember what this sounds like? This is an omicron epsilon, so it makes ooh, like yisus or like soup, exactly. So this makes an ooh sound. This is our next syllable. Do you remember what letter this is? Okay, it's the one that looks like a P, but it's actually a R sound. It's a R. So, and this, do you know what letter that is?
Alpha.
That's alpha. Okay, so what would this syllable? Ra. Okay, this one? Ooh, ra. Excellent. Okay, and this is our last one. So, what letter is that?
I remember it has an N sound.
Yes. Yeah, it's called a ni, but it makes an N sound. So, how would you pronounce this?
Non.
Excellent. Okay, so
Non.
excellent. Okay, now where is the accent?
No.
Yes. So, how would you pronounce it with the accent?
Uranon.
Excellent. Okay, so it's ton urano. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, we're almost done. Now we just have one syllable words. So maybe Miss Elizabeth?
Kappa.
Kappa. Good.
Iota.
Alpha iota. What does alpha iota make?
K.
Yeah, brilliant. That's another modern Greek word for you. K is still K. How about this one? How do you pronounce that?
Tin.
Teen. Teen.
Tin.
Teen. This is theos. This is teen. Teen. And how about this one?
Gin.
Close. It's g.
Gin. Gin.
Yeah. Greek doesn't have a j sound. It's just g. So ke, teen, gin. Okay. I'm gonna read it again. Okay, slowly. En archi epiisen o theos ton urano ke tin yin. Okay, I'm going to read it one more time, a little faster. En archi epiisen o theos ton uranon ke tin yin. Okay, how do we feel about that? Who feels good?
Great.
Okay, Joy, could you and I let's just
the pronunciation wrong.
let's read it together. I know you've done a little bit of biblical. Let's do it together, okay? I'll give you a couple words, then you repeat them back to me, okay? En archi.
In archi.
Epiisen
Epiisen.
o theos
O theos.
ton uranon
Ton uranon.
ke
Ke.
tin yin.
Tin gin.
Okay, do you think you could read that for us by yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
In archi.
En
Oh,
archi.
P.
I know.
Got this backwards. Okay.
Yeah.
Epiisen.
Mhm.
O theos.
Mhm.
Ton uranon. Ke. Let's see. Tin gin.
Yin. Excellent. Okay, everyone gets a round of applause. I know, everyone. Okay, as I think, Claudia, I don't know how you know everything I'm about to do before I do it, but this is Genesis 1:1. This is the first verse of the Septuagint, the Greek version. So, en archi, in the beginning, epiisen o theos, God created, ton uranon, the heaven, ke tin gin, and the earth. Okay, well done, well done. Now let's do a verse that we know very well. We'll do the same thing. Okay. En archi in o logos. Ke o logos in pros ton theon. Ke theos in o logos. Okay. Now you might start to recognize some of these words from Genesis 1:1. Clearly, right? Even in English, when we read it, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning was the Word. So John knows the Septuagint. He knows the Old Testament very well. There's a deliberate kind of recalling back. But now you know some words, right? Theos shows up a couple of times. We see this word ke a lot. So you'll get a sense of words this way. But for right now, I just want us to focus on reading it. I want you to be able to see a Greek word and sound it out. Greek, honestly, is I'll get to just a second. Greek is easier than English in this way, in that Greek letters basically are pronounced the same every time. English has words from multiple different languages, so sometimes a C makes a K sound, sometimes it makes a S sound, sometimes it makes a Ch sound. You have to know the word. Greek allows you to get a lot farther just by sounding it out. Yes, I'm sorry, Nathan, right?
Yeah. I was just curious what the double accent means.
Like over here?
Yeah.
It's a good question. This is an accent mark.
Okay.
This is a breathing mark. Breathing marks are only on words that start with vowels. So he, you get a breathing mark. If you get a breathing mark and an accent on the same letter, you put the accent on top of the breathing mark, just to save space. It's a good question. But it's one accent and one breathing mark. Okay. Does anyone feel like they can read this? Do we want to go through it like we did the other one? Okay, I'm seeing nodding. Okay, we've done the first one, right? Who have I not picked up? What's your name?
Nancy, but I wasn't here last week, so I know nothing of the alphabet other than alpha and omega and.
That's fine. How about this? You and I will just do it auditorily.
Okay.
Okay. You don't have to worry about looking at that. We'll just do it one syllable at a time. Okay. And I'll write it on the board for everyone else. So our first word looks like this. So this is pronounced N. Did you see that?
N.
Excellent. Our second word is 2 syllables. And it is the same word as the previous verse. And I'm going to repeat it, and then I say it, and I'd like you to repeat it. He.
He.
Excellent. So N, R, he.
He.
Excellent. Okay, that's the first 2 words. And we want to be careful about pronouncing those accents very, very strongly. Okay, the second word. It was Nancy, right? Okay, this is pronounced een. Een. This word is very difficult because these 2 letters are very difficult. But it's all over the place, and you'll see it a lot. So it's pronounced E-N. Een.
What does that word mean?
We will get there, I promise you. We will get there. We will get there. This one I can promise we'll get there.
I see it all over the place.
Yes, exactly. It's just taunting you.
I know.
Okay, Nancy, I'm going to point to a word and you try to pronounce it, okay? N. R, he. Een. Excellent. Okay. Now we get to logos. So this is an omicron, and it's just pronounced O. Great. This syllable is lambda, omicron, gamma. So it becomes log. Log, os. Os. This is a sigma, right? Earlier, we saw a sigma that looked like this. This is a sigma in the middle of a word. When we have a sigma at the very end of a word, we use that symbol. So they're the same letter, the same sound. It's purely something you do when the sigma is the last letter of the word. But so Nancy, this would be pronounced O-logos. Excellent. And the accent is on the O, so it's O-logos. Excellent. Let's keep going. Now we have a 1 syllable word, but it has one of those letter pairs. So this is a kappa, it makes a k sound. And this is one of those pairs. So when you put an alpha with a iota, you get an e sound. So all together, this is ke. Ke, exactly. We have o logos again. I will write in on the board because it is just a challenging word. But this is in. In. Good. Okay, let's keep going. This is also one syllable. This is, you know the letter, this letter. It's the letter pi from math,
Yes,
right?
yes, I do, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember.
No, of course.
There we go.
So this is the letter P. This is not the letter P. Even though it looks like it. This is the R, exactly. This is another Omicron, O, and this is that sigma. So R, O, S, pros. Pros. Excellent. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is a tough, t, Omicron, O, and another N. So it's t, O, tone. Okay, this is similar to a word we've seen. This is a theta. It makes a th sound, a theta. And this is another epsilon. So that's the e. So this is the, and this is Omicron ni. Same as this, right? So how would you pronounce this? The, on. Yeah, this is the ni. That's good. But this is the vowel that we're using. So it's the, on. Good. So ton, the, on. Right? They have the same ending. Okay, we're almost there. We have that word, same word as before. We have a kappa and an alpha iota. And that makes an e sound. So we have a ke, right? We have ke. We have theos again. In again. O logos again. So there is something beautiful about the way that this verse is written in that he's repeating certain phrases, certain words, right? These words are important to John, but they also help us read because it's less work for us to have to do. Okay, well done. Nancy, what we're going to do, I know, you're almost done. I'm going to say a couple of words. You repeat them back to me, okay? N-R-He.
N-R-E.
In.
In.
O logos.
O logos.
Ke.
Okay.
O logos.
O logos.
In.
In.
Pros.
Pros.
Ton theon.
Ton eton.
Ton theon. Theon. Ke.
Okay.
Theos.
Theos.
In. O logos.
Logos.
Okay. Who wants to try reading this in its entirety? Do you want to try? Okay. Well, I'm sorry, Olivia, right? Yeah. You want to try it? I'll say it, and then you can try it also, okay? N-R-He in o logos. Ke o logos in pros ton theon. Ke theos in o logos. Okay, why don't you just try that first line? N-R-He in o logos. Very close. This is in. And there's no N sound here. It's just E. N-R-He. Let's try it one more time. Very close. The N sound is this letter. And the E sound is this letter. Even though they look exactly opposite. I know, it's a really tricky one. So just flip them and it's in. Okay, try that first line one more time. Good. Excellent. I'm telling you, this is the hardest word in the whole verse. That's just how it is. Yeah, it's a tough one. Okay, we'll try the second line. Ke o logos in pros ton theon. Take your time and try to say the second one.
Ke o logos in pros ton theon.
Wonderful. Okay, last one. Ke theos in o logos.
Ke theos
Mhm.
in o logos.
Really close. It's theos. Theos. Right? Try it one more time.
Ke theos
Hmm.
in o logos.
Okay, I think you can do this whole thing by yourself. I'm gonna read it out. I think you got it. I'm pretty sure. En archi in o logos. Ke o logos in pros ton theon. Ke theos in o logos. Take it away.
Okay.
Take your time.
En archi in o logos. Ke o logos in pros ton theon. Ke theos in o logos.
All right, round of applause. Amazing, really amazing, really well done. Just to note, it's theos, theos, right? You get it. That was incredible, really. That was wonderful.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
Difference between the theon,
Yeah.
and theos.
Yes, we will get there.
Okay.
Not this week, but next week.
Okay.
We will get there. But you're right to think these two words are related. They are, in fact, the same word. We'll get there, I promise. Okay.
I have a comment.
Anyone? Any questions? Yes.
You know how you pronounce the pros
Yes.
and the theon? They both have the accent mark on the O,
Yes.
but then you didn't. Do we still do emphasis on the O's, or is it just pros?
So this is one syllable. This is one syllable. It's pros.
So the emphasis is not on the accent of the O.
So only vowels can have accents. So there's only one vowel and there's one syllable. So there's only one place for the accent.
Okay.
Does that make
So
sense?
how would you say theon? You did the extra oomph over there for the O on the theon, right?
Yes. Okay, so let me write it out.
Is it the difference between one and two syllables? Because if we try to break up pros into two syllables.
Exactly. So pros is one syllable.
Or did that?
It's not possible to break it up into multiple syllables. It's just one syllable, right?
Why does it have
So
an
it gets. Why does it have an accent?
Why does it need an accent?
This is the Greek language. How dare you? Almost every single word
Has
has
an accent.
an accent. There's
It's only one syllable.
apparently they thought we needed the reminder. Yeah, exactly. But theon has two syllables.
You got that.
So you could mispronounce this word as theon, which they don't want you to do. So there's an accent on theon.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay. So yes, it does have to do with how many syllables are in the word. Each accents can only go on vowels because every syllable needs a vowel. It's a little too technical, but don't worry so much about it. I guess it could be confusing that a one-syllable word has an accent, and you'll find that accent tends not to be pronounced as much. So I say pros ton theon. I'm kind of pronouncing this accent more so than these, but they're there. And to your question, it's not our place to decide whether a word has an accent, but it is our responsibility to make sure we put the accent there. Otherwise, it's the same as misspelling it. I was telling Elizabeth early in the class that if I wrote this word and said, "Oh, I have a cat," you would probably know what I mean? No one's confused by that, but you would also politely tell me that I misspelled the word. So that would be the equivalent of writing, you know, theon, or even saying theon. You're making a mistake. And it's a mistake that's not so far off that people are confused, but it is a mistake. So as students, we want to learn the right one. And that's why it's so important when you're reading to listen to a native speaker speak it. If you think to yourself, oh, there's this Greek word, it's got 4 letters, it's got an accent somewhere, I don't remember where it is, it's going to be very difficult for you. But if every single time you lay your eyes on this word, you hear someone say theon, you'll never forget it because that's the way that the word is pronounced. So that's why I want us to be speaking and listening and reading out loud. It really helps with the accents, and the accents are critical. I mean, if you see people that know how to read Greek but don't know how to speak it, when you do ask them to speak it, very often they'll always get the accents wrong. And so they're committing the equivalent of that faux pas, like spelling cat with a K, but it's just not a skill that people have practiced. I think that it's crucial to know this accent. The easiest way to know where the accent is to pronounce it that way. And as we're learning, to hear someone else pronounce it the right way every time. Native speakers don't make this kind of mistake. Okay, any more questions on accentuation? Okay, great. I just want to congratulate you all, though. As a class, you've read Genesis 1:1 in the Greek of the Septuagint. So this would have been written in 250 BC. So you've just read something that was written over 2,000 years ago, right? This was written in probably, they guess, 85, 90, 95 AD, but John himself wrote these words. I did not adapt it in any way. The markings are all exactly the same. And we were able to read this as a class with only 3 weeks of work. So we've come a really long way. And even if it's still difficult for you, I think you've made enough of a start to say, okay, if I do this again, if I watch this lecture again on YouTube, I can get it. And you really can. So now I want to get us talking a little bit. Yes, ma'am?
If you go back to that first slide, so the English translation says, and the word was with God, and the word was God.
Mhm.
It says God was the word.
It sounds like that, doesn't
But
it?
is that some kind of grammatical Greek thing?
We will get to it, I promise. We will get to it, I promise. If you remember the agenda, I wanted to just practice just reading. We'll do a little bit of speaking. We'll do another thing. We'll come back to John 1. So we'll expand on that. Oh no, do we only have 10 minutes?
13.
13? Oh no. Okay. Okay, we might have to go through some stuff pretty quickly. Okay, I'm going to skip the speaking section, and I'm going to jump to addressing a question because I do want to get into John 1. Okay. In the first class, Kyle asked a question that, if you recall, I said I didn't really want to get into. So he asked, what does the term Koine Greek mean? Are there other kinds of Greek? What's going on? And really the question that he's asking is concerning different forms of Greek, right, or variants. So there's something like Homeric Greek, which Homer uses in the Iliad and the Odyssey about 900 BC. There's Attic Greek, which Plato is using around 400 BC. There's Koine Greek, which John is using in 90 AD. And then there's Modern Greek, which is still used today. If you travel to modern Greece, they will be speaking Modern Greek. And the question was, what is the difference between all of these variants? Why do we use these words? And if you recall, my answer to Kyle was, it's all Greek to me. I'm not thinking of them as separate kinds of Greek. I'm thinking of them as all Greek. And I think that's because their differences are greatly exaggerated and their similarities are not emphasized enough. So truthfully, like this kind of approach that we're doing, which is Koine Greek text with modern Greek pronunciation, this is the way that I learned. I am a classicist. I'm not a biblical scholar, so I'm reading all of these kinds of Greek in my own studies, if you're a biblical scholar, you get a certain kind of expertise about how Koine Greek, wording is used. So I'm a little bit out of my element when we focus just on that. But I've seen all of these kinds of Greeks, and I'm telling you, there's a large amount of continuity between all of them. However, they are different. And so, to give you a sense of what that's like, I've made this analogy with English at different times. You can kind of compare Homeric Greek to Old English, so something like Beowulf that was maybe written in the 8th century. You could compare Attic Greek of Plato to something like Middle English, Chaucer used in the Canterbury Tales. He's writing in the 14th century. Koine Greek is, again, analogous. These are all, this is just my subjective opinion, but Koine Greek can be analogous to Shakespeare writing in the 16th century, and modern Greek is, of course, analogous to modern English. So I've taken a text, the Lord's Prayer, and I'm going to show it to you in these different kinds of English to give you a sense of what the Greeks are like, right? So this is the Lord's Prayer in modern English. We as modern speakers are not thrown by this at all. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We know it, we love it, right? This would be the Lord's Prayer in early modern. So this is the King James Version, which is also written at the beginning, or really at the end of the 16th, the beginning of the 17th century. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. So this is intelligible to modern speakers, but there are grammatical forms that we no longer use. We don't use thy anymore. There are also vocabulary, which we don't really use anymore. Art, right? So they're different, but they're not so different that we don't understand what's going on. And this is like if a modern Greek speaker reads John. This is what I was telling you, that some of the words are different, but they're not so different that you don't understand what's going on. This would be the Lord's Prayer in Middle English. I'm not going to pronounce it because I don't actually know Middle English, but if you look at it, Ur Fadir that art in heavenis. Like if someone read it aloud to you and you knew you were reading the Lord's Prayer, you could probably piece together what most of these words mean. But now we're really getting into an older version of the language. The spelling is different. The grammar is almost impossible for us to really appreciate what we're looking at. And then if you go to Old English, it's almost a different language. There's alphabets. There's letters of the alphabet that we no longer use. Again, if someone read this out loud to you, and I'm going to put a video of someone reading this in these different versions in English. When you read it, when you hear it, you can tell this is my language, but it's just so difficult. It's changed a lot over time. So going back to Greek and English, there are differences, but the language is the same. It hasn't jumped to be a different language. And so this is why I still think that if you want to learn Koine Greek, learning some modern is helpful. I always say that if we were all, Japanese and we natively spoke a language that had no relevance to English, and we wanted to become Shakespeare scholars, would we say, well, I don't want to learn modern English. Why would I do that? That's lame. People today speak it. I just want to learn Shakespearean English. How would you go about learning Shakespearean English? I don't know. I think you would only have Shakespeare. And as far as audio recordings, you would only be listening to modern English speakers doing their best to imitate what they think Shakespeare sounded like. And they might get pretty close, but there is no native speaker of Shakespearean English living today that you can talk to or ask questions of. They're only scholars trying to resurrect something. That's my analog to what it's like to try to learn Greek without going through modern first. Whereas if we wanted to learn any of these authors, even Old English, of course it would be a huge boon for us to know modern English first. So that is why we're learning modern Greek to some extent, right? We're mostly doing modern Greek pronunciation. A lot of the words are different, but there's a continuity in these languages that we want to tap into when it comes to language
It's
Sounded like-
similar to Latin, like church Latin, and
Yes.
there's no speak.
Latin, it's even more. They're all the same language. Yeah, there's like no difference for sure.
Yeah, but some people try to take
That's true.
modern Italian. and
Yeah. French, Italian.
Make it sound.
They're
Read it Latin. I
Yeah.
don't have any Latin speakers. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no native Latin.
there's more Latin speaking going on than certainly ancient Greek speaking,
There is a
but it's the
guy-
same thing. Yeah, it's the
there
same
is a
thing.
guy that walks around and teaches converse, Latin.
Yeah. I've done that with some people. Yeah, it's another way of learning languages. But the benefit that we have with Greek that we don't have with Latin is we have modern Greek. There isn't modern Latin.
There's no
It's
modern
switched over.
Latin.
Exactly. Okay, I did want to discuss that because it's sort of a question. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? I know I've been kind of yeah.
Which version of Greek is the Septuagint?
The Septuagint. That's a good question. It's basically Koine. It's basically the same. Yeah, it's not too different. Okay.
So when in your classic studies, I know we won't be reading in biblical and Homeric Greek, but like with your knowledge of Greek, you have to learn way more. Because like Old English, we couldn't read, right? Is Greek closer to Old English or the Homeric?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty challenging. Yeah.
Is it challenging? Okay.
It is. Yeah, you're learning a lot of vocabulary. The
Okay.
grammar is not so different. There's
Yeah.
some changes, but it's primarily a question of vocabulary. Homer is also poetry,
Yeah.
so there's certain ways of reading poetry that are different. But yeah, it's challenging, and that's why, like I said, I'm not a biblical scholar, so I don't have as much depth about Koine specifically. But I have had a certain breadth of reading these different things, and there's just a continuity. I mean,
I'd rather learn vocabulary than grammar. So.
yeah, I think so. Homer also has words that are only used like one time in his whole corpus. So if you really wanted to be a Homerist, you would learn every single vocab. So they both have their own pros and cons. It's just sort of calling and purpose, right? Like, what do you want to do? Okay. I think we're out of time. I didn't get to answer any of your.
Finally, it says finally.
What's that?
It says finally.
It says finally because we were gonna read John 1. Man. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I will formally dismiss. I know people have to go pick up kids and stuff, and I apologize for running out of time. For next class, we'll start off here. But if anyone wants to stay, we can go through John 1. We can talk a little bit about some of the grammar, some of the vocab. Is anyone able to stay? Maybe just a quick show of hands. Okay, we'll keep going. I do apologize for that, but we'll pick up the next class here for people that have to go. Okay, thank you so much. Let me just show you my final slide. This is the lectures. Same link is up here. These are the resources that I mentioned, but if you go to my YouTube channel, they're all linked. And I hope to see you next week. Thank you very much for coming. Okay,
We
great.
have 5 minutes.
If people can stay, we'll get into John a little bit. Okay, so did I talk about what N means?
No.
Yes. N means in.
In.
For now,
In.
that's all that it means. And we won't worry about it. What does E-R-He mean?
Beginning.
Yes.
In the beginning.
Good. Now, at the beginning of class, I said archo to mathi. Archo is not the same word, but it ends with an omega, which tells us it's probably a verb. It's an action. So he is a noun, the beginning. But archo is the verb that this noun comes from. It means to make a beginning or to begin something. So if I say archo tomathima, tomathima is the class. But this word archo also has an interesting meaning. So what is a monarch? I'm running out of space here. What is a monarch?
A king?
It is a king. This is a Greek word. What does mono mean? This is a single. So this arc is actually this word. So it's actually a single ruler. So archo means to begin, but also means to preside over. You can think of it as to be first in a city or a kingdom. So if I say arho tin helada, I'm saying I rule Greece. This is this interesting thing about this word archi. It has this idea of first, of being primacy, right? Of being primary. So this is that word, in the beginning. And as I showed you, when we looked at the Genesis 1:1 of the Septuagint, John is starting John 1 with the same exact two words as the Septuagint. So as soon as someone reads these first two words, they're transported back to the Septuagint. Why is that? It's because he's really making a claim about the beginning of creation. And by putting O Logos at the beginning of creation, as we'll see later, John identifies O Logos as the Christ. So there is a very universal statement being made, and it starts right with those first two words, en archi, in the beginning. Okay.
We don't have conjugations, do we?
Oh, we will get there. We will get there. We
Like
will get there.
Latin.
Yeah, we will get there. I promise. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Okay, let's look quickly at this word logos. So, O logos. How do we normally translate this word?
Word.
Word. Okay, good. Now there is a verb.
You go the word or word?
So
Could
this
be the.
makes it the.
The.
Yeah, this article here
Makes it the.
makes it the word.
Okay.
Yeah, not just any random word. But this comes from a verb, which is the verb lego. So if I say ego lego, I'm saying
Legos.
I speak.
Like
I
the
speak.
little things you put together.
Uh,
Lego.
Maybe, yeah, it might be named after that word. Because really what this word means is to collect something. So if I have a bunch of things that are all scattered, I Lego,
Like
ego Lego.
Legos, the
And so,
toys.
I'm not sure, you'll have to look up that theory. But this word Lego really means to collect. It's the same word that if you shake all the fruits off a tree and you collect them, you Lego them. But it became metaphorically a word to mean speaking or reading. It's kind of interesting. So because when we speak, we're collecting thoughts, we're putting them into words. That's kind of how the thought process goes. So if ego lego means I speak, ologos, kind of like the simple explanation of it, is the word. I think we have to stop there. I'm sorry. It's 10:50, right? Is that when the next thing starts? Okay. Thank you for staying. We'll get into this more next time because we just have a short burst. But yeah, if you have any questions, yeah.
What was the word?
The in.
Yeah.
What
does that mean?
Can you guess what it might mean?
In the beginning was.
Yes, this is the word for was. Anarchy in ologos, in the beginning was the word. We'll get into how exactly that works, but that's what that word means. And that's why it's all over the place, right? Even in when we say it in English, and the word was God, the word was with God, it's that same word. Okay, I'm officially calling an end to the class because it's so much fun. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, can you see this?
It's still
Thank
recording.
you. Okay, could you